Good morning, happy Sunday. How are you? I hope you're well. I know it's been a little while since my last video, but I literally just took a break over the holidays and just relaxed and chilled out and didn't do a whole lot. But now I'm getting back into collection sewing. If you're new here, my name is Linda and I'm sewing clothes for myself. Right now I'm working on a collection just for myself. It's called BEE LUXE. It has 12 pieces and it is heavily inspired by workwear with a little luxurious twist and a connection to bees. Today I'm going to show you how to turn this sweater with the crew neckline into this turtleneck sweater. It is the exact same pattern for both. I'm just going to give you a tutorial on how to change basically any crew neck sweater pattern that you have into a turtleneck. Okay. I need to take these glasses off only because there's my window and there is like a huge glare from there. So you see me wearing the turtleneck right now. Unfortunately, I'm not filming this at the end of the tutorial, but at the beginning, and that means that I've already filmed it once and I can't use my footage, like something is messed up there. So, you know, I'm gonna do it again, just a do-over, but you know, no big deal. At least this time it's probably gonna be a bit more ordered because I've already done it once. So I'm seeing it as a little practice run, doesn't matter. For you, that means that I will just be using a different fabric when we're actually getting to the tutorial part, but no worries. There are two different ways on how to insert a turtleneck. One is where you have a separate piece, so a turtleneck piece, and then you sew it here at the neckline. And the second one is the one that I'm using, that I'll be showing you today, is where you just have it as one piece, and it is basically a long funnel. You change the neckline of the pattern, and then you just sort of fold it inward. Let me show you what I mean, right? There is no seam here. And because you have a bit more volume and this is sort of shaped differently, you will inevitably have some folds here, right? So there's something to keep in mind. As you can see, the way how it is for me, like this is one piece, but if I'm just like letting it loose, it kind of folds. It has like a little fold here that I can't really, like it's difficult to show you, but where it just sort of folds over and that it almost looks like it's a separate piece. Depends on the fabric that you're using and how thick it is. With the other one that I have, it's already cut out right there on the floor. I think it's gonna look a bit different. So you will see what I mean. And the reason why I chose to make it in one piece is because of this beautiful big cable knit that this pattern has, and I just wanted it to continue in one piece, right? So that's what we're looking at today. The collection piece here that I'm wearing right now, I'm using the same pattern for the embroidered sweater that I've already been working on. If you watched my last vlog, the last cozy vlog that I made, you've already seen me starting to do the bee embroidery. I'm talking about this one right here. It will be a whole separate video though, because I'm trying to document a lot of the embroidery to sort of do a little neat time-lapse situation. And I would say let's get going with this tutorial. There are a couple of measurements we need to get for this, and I need to switch into this one here. This is the basic pattern that we're using. I'm talking about this one here. It's from Burda. It's from an older issue, but really you can use any type of crew neck sweater that you have, or you know, there are a lot of freebies as well online. You can just use any of them. Principle is always the same. There are two measurements that you really need. The first one is that you need the circumference of your neck, and the second one that you need is to figure out how long you want your turtleneck to be, right? So let me do a quick measurement here. Okay, we have 35 centimeters, right? We're metric here. 35, and then the second one is you sort of think sort of like a straight line here, right? Because the turning points or the measuring points that we're going to use will be here, the shoulder seams. So you just basically think a straight line across here, and from then on you're going to measure upwards, like how high do you want it to be. And it helps to have something to measure that is sort of like a ruler or something that's not soft, so that you can see how it would look like if the collar would stand, right? It's like about 9 centimeters. I say about, right, because when we do the turtleneck and we're gonna fold it inwards, you can see how your fabric behaves, right? So it's always better to have like a little bit more, since it's gonna be a straight line up anyway, and then go from there. And these are the two measurements that we need, and now let's have a look at the pattern. There are 3 steps that you need to do when you want to change your crew neck sweater pattern into a turtleneck. The first one is to do a little bit of math to figure out exactly how much space you have in your current crew neck sweater for your neck. So if this would be a turtleneck that went straight up, how much space do you already have? And this you need to compare against your neck circumference. We will do that in a second. The second part is for you to determine how wide you would like your own turtleneck to be. Do you want it to be a snugger fitting one? Do you want one that has a little bit more volume, right? So you need to figure out the width of the turtleneck that you want. And the third step is for you to figure out how high you want your neckline to be, how high you want your turtleneck to be. Then double this number, because you want to fold it inwards at the end and give it a little bit on top to have enough room for some folds to occur of your turtleneck. Now let me show you this on the front piece, on exactly what I mean, because I think that's going to help out. Okay, so in order for us to figure out exactly how wide our turtleneck currently is, we need to measure the distance between the shoulder point and the center front. And I'm going to show you exactly what I mean now. So this is the first thing to do when we are changing the pattern. We have our crew neck sweater pattern right here, and we measure out exactly how wide this distance is, right? And this is essentially the straight line that you see here is the straight line that I asked you to imagine in the beginning when you were trying to measure out how long you would like your turtleneck to be, like how far up on your neck you would like your turtleneck to be. So this is crucial for us to know how wide we need to change the pattern. So it is 9.5 centimeters times 2, because this is the fold here, so the fabric will be doubled, is 19 centimeters for me. And you know, my neck circumference was 35 centimeters. If I divide that by 2, we have 17.5 versus the 19 that I have just for the front. Means I already have like 1.5 centimeters of extra margin for movement here. So that is plus 1.5 centimeters. For the length of the turtleneck, I wanted my turtleneck to be 9 centimeters long. We need to double it, remember, because we're going to fold it inwards to have the turtleneck. Which means at least 18 centimeters. I need at least 18 centimeters in length here to add. Now let's keep in mind that here we will have a little fabric fold. Because of the volume, we're gonna have some fold here. So that is going to subtract a little bit of our length. So it needs to be 18 plus a little bit. I opted to give myself an additional 5 centimeters. If it's too short, there's nothing you can do about it. If the turtleneck ends up to be a little bit too long, you can always just trim it a little bit, right? So it's better to be a little bit on the safer side, because it's also going to vary depending on which fabric you have. Because I know that the second fabric that I have lying around here that I'm using as material for this tutorial is different than the collection fabric that I used. The one that I have here is much more sturdy, so it's gonna hold its shape a lot more, right? So these are a lot of things for you to keep in mind. So the first thing that we can do, because I opted then on adding 23 centimeters, but like I said, this is a bit trial and error for you. Okay, and for now, what I did here was just to draw a straight line up for 23 centimeters as well, which was like this, right, just at the tip. 19 centimeters. Now let's do the exact same thing with the back piece to see how wide it is, right? You need to measure. Just go and leave it as like this and do the second part. Okay, and I did the exact same thing for the back. For the back I also have 9.5 centimeters. Times 2 is 19. 19 plus 19 is 38 centimeters. That is 3 centimeters more than my general neck circumference, and let's remember that the neck circumference, if it would actually be like, if it would actually be 35 centimeters, it would sit very snugly. So I have an additional 3 centimeters of movement, so like this. And I want to have a tiny bit more volume for this turtleneck. So I'm going to add an additional 0.5 centimeter for the front and back piece, and me adding 0.5 centimeters in the front and back to the pattern, because this is unfolded, it's like 1 centimeter for the front in addition, so it will be a 20, and then another one for the back, which was also be 20, so I have an additional 5 centimeters of room, so it's like 2.5 centimeters on the side or around the front, and that is exactly how much I want, right? And this you can kind of figure out how far away you want your turtleneck to be from your neck. I cannot give you a full clue on this because you kind of need to see how you want to go, but for me that would mean that this is where I want it to be, so like a little bit further away. This is like 0.5 centimeter, and then I'm taking the blue pencil just to add my seam allowance to it of 1 centimeter. And this is essentially how to change a regular crew neck sweater pattern into a turtleneck. You do the exact same with the back, where you measure it out this time and you do your little math, and then you see how far you want it. And so if you change anything in the width in the front, keep in mind to also always do it in the back, so that your turtleneck lines will meet at the exact same spot on the shoulder seam. And you know, this way you can just make it as wide as you want. Yeah, and this is literally how you change a crew neck sweater into a turtleneck, like one of the possibilities. It is a bit more challenging if you really want to have it as an insertion. I haven't told you before, but if you do prefer to see that, do let me know in the comments below, because I can also easily make a tutorial for you on that front. If you would like to see that, what you need to measure, because then you need to measure this part, and it's a little bit more fickle than this, just actually making it longer. And yeah, I'm gonna get straight to cutting the pattern out completely because I haven't done the sleeves yet, and I will see you in a second when I'm actually starting to sew this. Hello. Well, given the fact that I'm dressed differently, it's a different day. I stopped after the paper pattern and did something else. I hope I explained it in a way that was understandable for you, because honestly I realized when I did it, it was a whole lot easier than trying to explain it, especially because I feel like half of the time I said, well, you know, it really depends on how long you would like it to be and how wide you would like it to be. So I hope it helped you in some sense. So, you know, I like to sew my piece, and this is what I will do now. The first step that I will do is to start with the overlocker and take care of the hem and the top end of the turtleneck, because I'm going to show you exactly how I'm just turning it inwards, and I'm going to secure it with a little bit of hand stitching. And you know, the only other announcement I really have for you today is that today I only know 2 colors. I know rust and I know leoprint. Those are the 2 colors, and if you think I'm kidding, think again, because literally that's that's all of it. That's all I know today. Even the jacket I was wearing is rust colored. I know it's stupid. I don't care if you don't think it's funny. I'm sorry, I'm remembering that stupid joke about the two colors. You know, I guess we can land on two things. At least I entertain myself. I think I worked too long today. Do you have that where you work too long and then your brain gets a bit You know what, I'm not going to say anything against that because that sounds like I'm making an excuse. And when in reality, this is me on any given day. So this is how it looks like right now. And the first thing we're going to do is pin the side seam and the shoulder seam, like with any other top. Right, we're just marking the baseline, and I'm very curious to see now if how I pinned it all, yeah, if that matches, because I tried to pattern match and it looks pretty good. Like, see, it does look like I made it, I cut it right. And here we have the moment of truth, because now I'm literally gonna find out if all of my pattern matching worked out the way that I wanted to. Okay, let's see here. Yes, that looks pretty good. Let's check this side. Yes, that matches pretty good. I'm like slightly off here, but honestly, that's fine. A little bit more off down here. You see, like my next step in thinking, but it matches like a dream here. My next step of thinking is, does this bother me enough for me to undo the seam on this side? Just a little bit, you know? Or am I fine with it? By the way, this is in no way a reflection on anything that you do. I'm very picky about this. That's my personal thing, my personal problem, that I'm just very with my own, but also only with my own stuff, yeah. It's always like, does it bother me, or it's not really about anybody else. Oh, that matches well. It's gonna be so nice. So, just as a little test, when I flip that inside, oh, that looks cool. You know, this looks very, very good for a substitute half turtleneck. I have to say, that looks pretty well. All right, I think I'm done for the day. I have sewn the bulk of the garment. I still have to sew and set in the sleeves for this. It's going to be a little mix as well out of some fabric rests. And I'm going to show you how it looks like in a second. And I guess I'm going to see you tomorrow. By the way, I have a question for you. Are you somebody that is only sewing when you're having like 3 hours at a time uninterrupted? Or are you somebody that likes to sew in smaller increments? Because I'm trying to switch to smaller increments because I know that way I'll get more done. And yeah, it's I'm making a conscious effort of doing this. It's one of my, I don't really do New Year's resolutions, I do something else, but it's like creating more in general. It's something that I want to cultivate this year. So, how do you do? And this is just temporary, but this is what it looks like right now. This is like just the bulk of it. I'm happy with it so far. Wow, it's been a while since I've been at the sewing machine. I had a pretty busy work week, but I am going to cut out the sleeves now because I decided to make a little change because I still have quite a bit of fabric left over, and I have enough that I can do the bodice part of a cardigan at some point as well, and I love this fabric. I wish I had more, so I'm gonna do that. That means that I have enough space for one side of the sleeve, and I decided to double the other side with some leftover leather that I have. So I'm gonna cut that now, and then I'm sewing the sleeve, and then we're good to go with the turtleneck. Little note from editing Linda, future Linda if you will, for you. I did not realize when I cut the sleeve that there was a little material error on the side. You're going to see what I mean in a moment. And I ended up just rolling with the tapes and just continuing the tutorial for you. But I did cut out a second sleeve for the finished garment. So don't worry that you're not going to find this exact sleeve on the finished garment. I did it because this material error probably when I washed it with wearing it a couple of times could have easily unraveled the whole garment. And I mean, you've seen me put a lot of work into this garment already, and there's no way. I have fabric, so I cut a second sleeve. And I'm almost finished. I have to try it on now to figure out the length of the collar, but everything else is done. It's literally fresh off the machine. And I still have to do the hem, right? But that's pretty fine. And I love the way that this looks with the leather. One leather sleeve here in the front, and then I have it as well on the back, so it's asymmetric. I'm gonna put it on now, and I'm gonna show you what it looks like in a second. Okay, so as you can see, I have all of this excess fabric here now. So I'm just gonna going to tuck this in for now. So then, you know, I can have a look and see what I want. And you can see there's a lot of bulk here now, and that's because it is too long. So I need to cut it a bit, and I need to figure out how long I want it. But other than that, it's holding the structure really nicely. It's quite sturdy. So I'm gonna turn this inside out for a moment. Okay, so I think I'm gonna try this length first, and I'm just gonna cut it and then turn it back inward again and have a look how it looks like, because this bulk is changing the length a bit. And I'm back. I ended up chopping things off twice, so all in all it was -7 centimeters that I chopped off, but really depends on the fabric that you have, right? With the rust colored one, I didn't chop off anything, because, you know, this one, as you can see, it's just holding the structure and it's standing up by itself, and you remember, and you're going to see, if you forgot, you're going to see it again in a second. The rust one, it actually like sort of folds in a bit, so there I need a bit more length, right? So depends, and I'm happy with how it looks like right now. I'm going to go sit down on my desk in a second, and I'm going to use the tan line as my guideline for the stitching, and I'm going to secure it with a bit of hand stitching, and then I will do the hem, because I'm not going to do a hem band. I'm just going to leave it lovely and voluminous as it is right now. And after this, I'm going to be finished, finally. Yeah, it's been a journey. This video has been a journey. So, you've seen the pictures, you've seen both of the sweaters. I am of course wearing the actual collection sweater right now with the red one. I just, you know, sometimes it happens and I lost my footage and I couldn't use it. So I hope you enjoyed this little journey with me with the striped sweater and seeing how I would go about changing just the color. And what I find quite interesting as well with both of these sweaters is how different they look like and they feel, even though it's the exact same pattern, it's just two different fabrics, which is why I love to have some staple patterns that I can just, you know, reuse, and just by using a different fabric, it's a completely different piece. Because with this one, it looks very soft and it's very flowy, as you saw, right? Even I think the biggest part where you see it is, I mean, obviously the color, but also for the sleeves, because I will show you this in a second. But you see this one here with this fabric, it's very soft and it looks like it kind of flows, even though it has this type of shape. And if we switch to the other one now, I'm sure now you know what I mean, because this one has a lot more structure. It is the wool fabric, it has a lot more structure, but the leather of course helps, so it holds the shape not only here of the collar like an absolute champ, but as well for the sleeve. You can see from the back with the leather as well, and just from the side, you know, you can really see the difference. I love this one a lot as well, and I'm thinking about making it one of my collection pieces as well. I know it's quite unexpected, but you know, sometimes you gotta go with the flow, and what am I supposed to do when I lose my footage? But I want to have a proper tutorial up, you know. I'm not mad about it, I love this sweater a whole lot, so I'm thinking about it. I might do that. Aside from this, I am working on a little writing piece about toxic productivity or toxic work habits that I personally have, and that is why sometimes it does take a little bit of time before a new video comes out or before you see me create and post on Instagram as well. And that's mainly because I needed to take a little break and reset myself, you know, address like all of the little demons that I have about this, because there's always the deeper root issue or the deeper connections to why I feel like I need to create all the time, or why I feel like I need to be productive all the time. And I am writing about it. I'm not finished, but I'm writing about it, and I'm also needing to muster up the courage to share what I'm actually thinking. So, you know, that takes a little bit of time as well. But what I am doing is I am working on setting up healthy systems for myself. You know, and that means creating when I want to create, and how do I want to create, and sew, and, you know, produce, like all of this. It's an adjustment period, but I will share it with you when I'm ready to share it. And do let me know which one of the sweaters you like more, because I'm curious about it. And aside from that, go and follow me on Instagram if you want to have a look at my blog. Everything will be down below. I'm gonna also have a blog post up for this, so that you have some little instructions and you see the math and everything of how I calculated. I mean, I say the math like it's a big thing, but you know what I mean, just to have a little picture of my calculations, because I struggled when I was explaining it, so something written down might be easier to follow for you. So you can have a look at it there, and I will see you again next time, and have a wonderful Sunday or rest of the week or whichever day you're watching this, and I will see you next time. Bye. I'm a struggle bus today. I don't even know why and what and how and when, and it's already getting dark again, and that's why, the only reason why I managed to film the outro, because I filmed the outro one time before, but you know, I actually put the sweater on backwards, this one, because it's so wide, I forgot, and then I looked at it and I'm like, oh shit, no, that's wrong. And I can tell because of the stripes, because this one is how I matched it for the front, and in the back, it looks different. You know, how I do it for the rust sweater, I embroidered a little heart on the back instead of making a tag in there. So, that's how my day's going. Not too bad, not too bad.